Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Bakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone, and Shalom to the sincere Akim out there teaching the truth and sincerity. I just wanted to start a subject about this article that I found, talking about the coronavirus. It like as the title says up there, where is God in a pandemic? You know, I'm gonna jump down here because he's just talking about what like the beginning of his day. So I'm gonna start right here. It says, in just the past few weeks, millions have started to fear that they are moving to their appointment with with terrifying speed, thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic. The sheer horror of this fast-moving infection is coupled with almost physical shock from sudden onset. As a priest, I heard of an avalanche of feelings in the last month: panic, fear, anger, sadness, confusion, and despair. Now, right when I read that part, I'm like, that's exactly right. Oh, yo, scripture just popped in my head. Yeah, let me get this. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 7, verse 4. You what? Let me start. Let me start at 2. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men. And the living will lay it in his heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for sadness is countenance. The heart is made better. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of the fools is in the house of mirth. And it reminded me of Matthew 24 chapter down here. It says let me start at here. This is Matthew 24 verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. So, like, that's the first thing that popped into my head. You know, an avalanche of feelings in this last month: panic, fear, anger, sadness, confusion, and despair. More and more, I feel like I'm living in a horror movie. And you know, what was this other? Man, I just had it in my head. I'm trying to remember. The bookmark. Man, I just had it in my head. Let's see, maybe it'll come back to me. More and more, I feel like I'm living in a horror movie. But the kind that I'm instinctively turned off because it's too disturbing. And even the most religious people ask me, why is this happening? Where is God in all of this? And the question is essentially the same as the people when a hurricane wipes out hundreds of lives, when a single child dies from cancer. It is called the problem of suffering, the mystery of evil, in theodicy. Oh my gosh. Theodicy, whatever you call it.
Theology?
No, theodicy. I don't know. I guess it's called.
Yeah.
And it's a question that saints and theology. Oh, I really hate these words. Salakia. Theology, whatever you call it, have grappled for millenniums in the question of natural suffering from illness and natural disasters.
Oh, it's theologian.
Yeah, they have to come up with these stupid ass words. Excuse my language. This is what they're saying. This is what they're thinking. So it's a question. It's a question that saints and what would you call it? What?
Theologians.
Yeah, whatever you call it. Have grappled for millenniums. That's the question that these Wow, I keep coming right back to this word. Slakia. Theologians? Yeah, Castle. The question of natural suffering from illness and natural disasters differs that of moral evil in which suffering flows from the actions of individuals. Think Hitler and Stalin. From leaving aside the theological distinctions, like what? All right. First of all, let me go to theology. All right, the study and of nature of God and religious belief. All right, it's a study and distinctions, a difference or contrast between similar things or people. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to compare what the Most High does in the scriptures compared to now, like, through their own head, through their own distinction of their own ideology of it, their perception of the scriptures. Because they go around and they teach people that God is all love, but what's contradicting themselves is their mind towards the scriptures of the things that's happening to the world. In you know, let me get this because I bookmarked it. This is Amos chapter 3 verse 6. Shall a trumpet be blown in a city and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in the city and the Lord had not done it? So if there's an action like somebody's dying, somebody just got killed from a gunshot, who was it? It was, first of all, it was that man. But who drove that man to shoot that other man? It's the Spirit of the Most High. You got that one scripture.
That's 1 Samuel. I got 1 Samuel 2 and 6. The Lord kill it and make it alive. He bring it down to the grave and bring it up.
The Most High does these things. The Most High does these things. Get the one. Ah, man, every time. Yo, I think I can get it. Oh no, I already have a bookmark. What am I doing? It's like here. Let's see. This is it. Ha! Let me start at. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna start at 45. For Jacob, my servant's sake, and Israel, mine elect, I have called thee by thy name. I have surnamed thee. For though thou hast not known me, I am Yahweh, and there is none else. There is no power beside me. I girded thee, though thou hast not known me, that they know from the rising of the sun and from the west that there is none beside me. I am Yahweh, and there is none else. I form the light, and I create darkness. I make peace, and I create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Now that's exactly this pandemic, this thing that's happening. The Most High is doing it. All right. If this is whether real or fake, it don't matter, because pestilence in the end of the day, it's gonna happen, because it is written. Now, what does the scripture say? That His word does not come back void. His word doesn't just go out and vainly reach someone's ears and bounce off. All right. When the Most High says things that's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, whether you hear or whether you forbear. It's like that. Coming back to this. So they're saying that. All right, let me continue, because it gets to this one point. You know, it made me laugh. I'm like, this is what the Christians think, man. This is what the Catholics and Christians think. In this, all right, in this pandemic that's happening, and all the deaths from the tornadoes that's happening, the earthquakes, all these deaths that's happening worldwide. It says, but leaving aside theological distinctions, the question now consumes the mind of millions of believers who quail steadily rising death tolls, struggle with the stories of physicians forced to triage patients and recoil at photos of rows of coffins. And they ask, why?
Let me make a point on that. And this is the part that you Jakes out there should be asking yourself now. It's like, why? Okay, is this something I'm missing? Is this something I haven't been taught?
Yeah, because all these churches, from Catholics, Christians, Jehovah's Witness, all these different doctrines, they all teach you that the Most High is all love, all right? But they're leaving out the side on why all this death is happening, all of this. They can't answer the question, all right? So continuing down, it says, over the centuries, many answers have been offered about natural suffering, all of them wanting some way. The most common is that suffering is a test. Suffering tests our faith and strengthens it. Yeah, to the men of the Lord, yeah. My brothers and sisters, I'm just gonna skip through, man. Actually, let me just, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of brothers, whether you face trials of any kind, consider it nothing but joy. And that's what's supposed to be in the heart of the men of the Lord. Why? Because all these sufferings have to take place for the kingdom of heaven to be established. It's like that. All these sufferings have to take place for the kingdom of heaven to be established. All right. Because you know that it's testing your faith produces endurance. Now all the suffering that through Jacob's trouble, all the suffering that we're going through now, is just like what the Most High says. He's making you finer than the golden wedge of Ophir. Finer than gold. He's gonna put you in the furnace, and that's what it means: trials and tribulations. But does that mean you're gonna die? If you're a man of the Lord, does that mean you're gonna die? If you're doing everything the Most High told you, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim B'Kakodash, are you gonna die because you're doing what the Most High told you to do? No, just the scripture just popped in my head in Apocrypha. This is I think it's Wisdom of Solomon actually, but I'm gonna. Let me try to remember. It's either Wisdom of Solomon. It's like it. Was it wrong? Ecclesiasticus, Salakia. This is Ecclesiasticus 2, verse 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. Set thy heart aright, constantly endure. Make not haste in the time of trouble. What we're living in is a time of trouble. You got your martial laws around the corner. By the looks of it, you know you're not gonna get food. Don't be panic buying. Don't be doing anything like that. You know, don't make any hateful actions because it's gonna end up being bashful. All right, don't do things like that. That's why it says, set thy heart aright. How do you set your heart aright? All right. How do you set that right? Focus on the Most High. Don't think about anything else. Don't think about a single thing. Don't think about eating. Don't think about drinking. If you got children, don't worry about it because the Most High is going to feed them. All right? That's why it says, cast thy burdens upon the Most High, upon the Lord. Children are a burden. It's true. Children are a burden. All right? If you got women that's pregnant, don't worry about that either, because they're gonna get fed too if they fear the Most High. You know, that woman's with the men of the Lord, as the scriptures say. Men shall be a high rock in a weary place. Roughly paraphrasing. Whatsoever, no, cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at the last end. You're going to be increased because the Most High is going to make you finer than gold. You're going to be his treasure, man. The elect's. For Jacob's, my servant's sake, and for the elect's sake. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a low state. So if you're changed to a low state, if you had a lot of things in your lifetime and then all of a sudden you lost it all, take it cheerfully. You gotta take it cheerfully, because the Most High's doing it. An act from the Men of Valor camp goes by Bakar Ahmad. He said something like during camp one time, and it was spiritual how he said it. When you work on muscles, why do you get sore? Because your body's breaking down so it can build back up stronger. And that's how this is. That's how this truth is. When you're brought to a lower state, it's to build you up stronger than you were before. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. Believe in him, and he will help thee. Order thy way aright, and trust in him. Ye that fear the Lord, wait for his mercy, and go not aside, lest ye fall. Ye that fear the Lord, believe in him, and your reward shall not fail. Ye that fear the Lord, hope for good, and for the everlasting joy and mercy. Look at the generations of old and see, did any trust in the Most High, in Yahweh, and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? And whom did he ever despise that called upon him? For Yahweh is full of compassion and mercy, long-suffering and very pitiful, and forgiveth of sins, and saveth in the time of affliction. Now these people that are dying, they don't fear the Most High. They don't know the Most High. All right? If they're from the forefathers of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, if you don't fear the Most High, you're in the wrong. You're gonna die. You're gonna fall. All right? You're gonna fall either by this pestilence. You're probably gonna get any way you can die, where the Most High judges you. Yeah. Oh, that's Matthew 24. Yeah.
You got that?
No, I don't get a bookmark though. You know, continuing down, it says, but while explaining suffering as a test, be it help in a minor trials. He said minor trials. Man, and the men of the Lord aren't even going to go through minor trials. They're saying that what that says may help only through minor trials. Minor trials. Now, if you're working to get muscles, are you going to do push-ups one day and that's it? Or are you going to constantly do it to get it? That may work in minor trials. These words are supposed to be comforting onto the men of the Lord. This is the other comforter. This is the comforter. Is the scriptures. Continuing, it says, it feels in the most painful human experience. Does God send cancer to test a young child? Yes, the child's parents may learn something about perseverance or faith, but approach can make the Most High out to be a monster. The Most High ain't no respecter of persons, man. If that child got cancer and he's gonna die, is that child did something in his past life. If that child got cancer and he got cured, and he got cured through a miracle, His purpose was to get the cancer and get cured through a miracle, as in miracle I mean by the men of the Lord, curing that child through the name of the Most High, Ba'ashim Yahushai, in the name of Yahushai. That was that child's purpose, just like when Yahushua healed that blind man,
Yeah, Acts 10 and 34. Then Peter opened his mouth and said, of the truth I perceive that the Most High is no respecter of person.
Yeah, if children die, along with their parents and everything, they were all being judged. All right, as simple as that. Continuing. So does the argument that suffering is a punishment for sin? So does the argument that suffering is a punishment for sins is still a common approach among believers who say that the Most High punishes people or groups that themselves disapprove of? But Jesus himself, or Yahushua himself, rejects that approach. When he really? No, I'm gonna say Jesus himself rejects that approach when he meets a man who was blind in the story recounted in the Gospel of John. Now, if they literally cut it off here. So that story is about that man was blind, so that Yahushua may heal him to show the glory and power of Yahweh. Ba'ashim Yahushua. It's to show the glory and power of Yahweh, of the Most High. So it says, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Neither this man nor his parents sinned, says Jesus. Yo, but if you go to the story, Yahushua said neither this man nor his parents sinned, neither his mother or father sinned. But through the glory, let's see, let me get it. I think I got it earlier. Yeah, that's it. John 9. And Yahushua passed by, and he saw a man which was blind from his birth. And the disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? And Yahushua answered, Neither had this man sinned, nor his parents, but that the works of Yahweh should be made manifest in him, that he may show the power that the Most High can do. He healed a man that was blind. That was his purpose. Now, what they're trying to justify is that if a child dies because of the coronavirus, it wasn't because the child died. The child died because it wasn't because the child died Slakia. It wasn't because the child died was to test the faith of the mother and father. It was a judgment onto that child and a judgment onto the parents. Now, if that child lived through it, it was like a warning. It says this is Jesus' definition rejection of an image of a monstrous father. Because the Most High made him blind, he's monstrous. That's I don't know, but that's how I saw it when I first read this. Let me just jump through. Oh yeah, this is right here. And the overall confusion for believers is encapsulated in what is called an inconsistent triad. which can summarize as follows. God is all powerful, therefore God can prevent suffering, but God does not prevent suffering. Therefore God is either not all powerful or not all loving. He doesn't love any other nation but the children of Israel, man. Starting with the 1/3. The ones that fear his name. Because if we fear his name, that shows that we love him back. If we fear him, by Hashem Yahushua. And you know, when I first saw this, it was like I shook my head. Like this is the mentality of the everyday Christian and Catholic. And Jake should see this. Jake's that, you know, that question this type of stuff. If all these things are happening, why are people? If you're going to church and everything, and those people going to church and they got coronavirus and they're about to die to it, why is it happening to them? Like they don't question themselves like that. They don't.
It goes to that point, you know.
Yeah.
And the Christians, they like to skip. They like to skip Romans 9 and 15.
Oh, you can.
You know, Romans 9 and 15. For he said to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy. I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion.
Oh no, go up a bit. Start. You can. Yeah, you can say this. You can say this here. Yeah, Romans 12.
Okay, Romans 9 and 12.
And then like read down.
It was said unto her, the elder should serve the younger. And as it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with the Most High? Most High forbid.
Is there unrighteousness with the Most High because he hates somebody? Is it unrighteous? All right. Is it unrighteous if he hates certain people? If he hates everyone but Jacob? It's not. You get your feelings from somewhere. You get your hatred and your love and all these emotions from someone. It's from the Father. You know, that's it. That's it on that. Yo, I got a few more precepts. This is Amos chapter 9 verse 8. Behold, the eyes of Yahweh, the Lord Yahweh, are upon a simple kingdom, and I will destroy off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith Yahweh. Let me continue actually. For lo, I will command and I will sift the house of Israel among the nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve. Ye shall not the least of grain fall upon the earth. All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword. Which say the sword has many different ways of forming, whether it be by fire, whether it be by a gun, that's a modern day sword, whether it be by pestilence, famine, anything like that, earthquake, tornado, all those are type of things that can kill. Now the sinners of his people are gonna die, and that's why the two-thirds of Israel are gonna die, whether it be by this pestilence, whether it be by thermonuclear fire, whether it be for anything like that. But the Most High is doing it. The pandemic. All right, the Most High is doing it. All right, He's doing the natural disasters. Are they saying that natural disasters are not in the power of the Most High? Huh? Is that what you're technically saying? That natural disasters, that the Most High don't got power over His creation, over the earth. over everything.
So ultimately, and you know what? Since there's an Alpha and Omega, and it's primarily and ultimately the Most High is doing all this.
Let's see. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 2, verse 1. And he said unto me, Son of man, stand upon thy feet, and I will speak unto thee. And the Spirit entered into me when he spake unto me, and set me upon my feet, that I heard him that spake unto me. And he said unto me, Son of man, I send thee to the children of Israel, to a rebellious nation that have rebelled against me, and their fathers have transgressed against me, even unto this very day. For they are impudent children and stiff-hearted. I send you unto them, and thou shalt say unto them, Thus saith Yahweh power. And they whether they hear or whether they forbear, for they are a rebellious house, and yet shall know that there hath been a prophet among them. So seriously, all of these things that's happening, and they're not even considering. They're not even considering, and it's. Yo, let me just jump down a. Let me just jump down a bit. But thou, son of man, hear what I say unto thee. Be not rebellious like the rebellious house. Open thy mouth and eat that I give thee. And I look, and behold, a hand has been set upon me, unto me. And lo, a roll of book was therein. And he spread it before me, and it was written within and without. It was written therein, lamentations, mourning, and woe. The scriptures speak of this of a pandemic, epidemic to be.
Pandemic is worldwide. Epidemic means a mass of people, but now pandemic means it's global.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a pan, so it's all.
Yeah. It's a Greek word.
Yeah. The Most High is he's gonna kill a lot of people. You know, I got another Second Ezra chapter 16 verse 17. Woe is me, woe is me. Who shall deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine, plague, tribulation, and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. Now famine, all right, famine. Famine and plague, tribulation, and anguish. Now what does those cause? Let's go up here. What do those cause? That causes these certain feelings: panic, fear, anger, sadness, confusion, despair. That's what it causes. All right. You still got our people fooling around, man. Around these times. Ain't it gonna be fooling around when the Most High comes, man? All right, Ba'ashem Yahushai, through the angels and everything like that, and all the tribulations is gonna happen. It ain't gonna be fun and games. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be mindful of the scourges. Now, for all these things, they're not gonna turn from it, from their wickedness, for everything. They're still not gonna turn from it, and that's where let me see. There you go. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 9, verse 10. For such in their life have received benefits and have not known me. They allowed my law, and while they yet had liberty, while you're yet free. So in your mind, that is, you think you're free, and you're free to try to follow the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability right now, and you're not. You loathe it. You don't wanna stop eating those pork chops, man. When as yet a place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it. The same shall know it after death by pain. That's what's gonna happen, man. The Most High is gonna end your fun and games. The Most High is doing this pandemic, and you Israelites that's in these Christian churches and Catholic churches and all of these different churches, you're gonna be caught up in it.
And your pastors, they're not even going to have an answer for it.
They don't got an answer. What was their answer? Oh, I believe did I skip that part?
I think you read it over.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I did skip it a little bit. It says, in the end, the most honest answer to the question of why COVID-19 is a virus is killing thousands of people, why infectious diseases ravage humanity, and why there is suffering at all is, here's their answer: we don't know. For me, this is the most honest and accurate answer. One could only suggest how viruses are part of the natural world. In some way they contribute to life. They're saying that the omnipotent power, the Almighty, alright, doesn't have power over the earth and diseases and everything. That's what they're technically saying. Alright? That's what they're technically saying. Now that... Oh, man.
And they forget. Like, the force of nature is the Most High himself.
Yeah, dude. He controls the ways of man. And everything, man. Ay, ay, ay. Well, that's all I got. That's all I got for this lesson. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushua, Ba'ashim, B'Kakodash, and Shalom.